Now we come to the next group, which is Panchayat elections. I will request the chairperson of the group, Madam Monica Yadav.
So my being the last presentation, but still I'll try and make it more interesting and things, because I feel Panchayat election issues is the most interesting out of all other topics, because whenever the elections happening, this creates a more happening and the most talked about topic wherever or whichever state it is. So as we say, at the heart of the Panchayati system is the election system and the processes. The way we say the body can't function well if your heart is not well. The same way, if these processes or the systems are not in place, how the elections are conducted in the states, and definitely we have like lot of differences. It is like within the same state, districts differ. Lot of things. Same way the states, what we are following in Uttar Pradesh might not be followed in Rajasthan or might not be followed in rest other states of the country. But still, we try to bring in some uniformity, and this is what we try to propose through this. So can we have the next slide? I'll do that. It's not changing. Okay. So it is systems. The first we'll talk about the system for Panchayat elections. Actually, both when we say systems, system is basically to provide you the structural framework as to how the elections would be conducted, and this gives you a guidance over the election process. And next, when we talk about the process, they tell you the steps that need to be followed or which is required in executing these elections. And both of them are of paramount importance because they are basically building or helping you to maintain the democratic structure of any of the state or the PRIs. So the all questions and the aspect involved around both these issues and both these topics are very important. They are basically helping you to shape the foundation of the local democracy. So we will take up both. First we'll take up the first subgroup and then the next. So when we say ki where, which is the okay, we'll talk about the delimitations. Why it is of most importance here, the delimitation is basically redefining the electoral boundaries. So what we had taken up or we had seen in a lot of states, elections got delayed because of this. Like if we say, talk about Karnataka, we talk of Maharashtra, we talk of Manipur, Lakshadweep, Pondicherry. So a lot of places the elections got delayed because this was not being done timely. So what we suggest is, what the group suggests is, that this should be done prior to the elections, whenever we are delimiting or redefining the boundaries. And the period could be much what best suited is 6 months prior to the next elections. So now coming on to the next key, who should be taking care or handling this? Again, the way I said, since the states do have different system and processes in place, same way the states, as per this choice of the state government, they have selected whether the state government would decide on the boundaries or the state election commission would decide or the delimiting commissioners would decide on this. So our suggestion, our group suggestion is state election commission should be the deciding authority in defining or redefining the electoral boundaries of any state. Now coming on to the next is what parameters need to be decided on this. The best is again we have a spread and a mix of people staying in every state. So the population is the best suited, what our group suggests is for deciding on how we will keep the factors which will be there for reserve quotas and all for depending on the proportion of the population, the sections, whatever we have, like be it the SCs, be it the OBCs, or be it the higher caste or a general category which we call it. So the population should be the base for deciding any reservations. Now, also coming back to on this key, whether the tenure should be single tenure or the double tenure. So I do have point here to say that some might support or say that two tenure is good for better working or like experience or anything. But I feel the tenure of 5 years is good enough, because when we talk of the legislature, we talk of the parliamentary, everybody has a tenure of 5 years. Same way, if we have that tenure of 5 years, it's good enough, no matter which quota, be it, if I'm sitting on a position, I've come through general quota, I might want it is repeated again. Or maybe if I've come to a reserve seat, I might it to be repeated again. But This is not the way. To give chance to everyone, every section, it is single term is good enough, and that what our group has agreed to, and this, so we have proposed single term as the tenure selected for deciding on the reservations. So again, can the challenge of continuity, this is what I've just said, people would say that the double tenure would help you to give you more continuity and experience, but that's not. 5 years single tenure is good enough for this, and this way it will give chance to every section. So all like marginalized people would get an opportunity in the decision making process and capacity building. So, and when we say women panchayat themselves consider for rotation of reservations, being a women or a female representing here, I would say, or our group didn't agree with this, because what we feel it as females, we don't need any preferences over anybody. We want equal representations, reservations to be in place and everything, but we do not want a panchayat which is completely of women. Because we do not want to delimit ourselves, or we do not want to feel it that others are not given an opportunity to compete with us, or we should not feel it as if we've been giving a preference over this. So this, the group didn't agree to it, we should not favor the women panchayat concept. Okay, so now coming on to the special criteria for contesting. So, should there be any additional qualification, or what all we can have? So we had, the group has suggested or selected 2-3 criteria which should be in place if we want a better functioning. First is two-child policy. So what we are saying is we might have a lot of opposition, and the states did have, but still we are suggesting, or we are recommending on this. Reason being, if you see, the population of the country is increasing on a very higher rate. And if we compare ourselves, India, with the other countries, we would see the population of many countries is much lesser than as compared to any of our state. Like if we talk the big states, Uttar Pradesh or Bihar, it is much lesser than that. And so the problem, and the good point is, they do have the resources which they have, and the population is less. So everybody gets more options, and the country calls it themselves as a developed countries, more opportunities, employment, everything, facilities provided to the citizens, they are better than as compared to our country. And in our country, what is happening, the population is increasing, resources are limited, educated people are on the street, but the position in the institutes or colleges or any of the sector we talk of is less. So what is, we are not able to provide employment to our people, we are not able to provide the medical or the health facilities to the populations. So what for are we increasing the population then? And we have to bring people to some common point, to make them understand, make them aware what is, how it is benefiting us and how it is not. So if we implement this policy, I'm not saying do it immediate, it to be done all over India, we can do it gradually. Some states have implemented, so this way we can do, and definitely some cutoff date need to be there, so that we do not impose such kind decisions on any people or the older people, or some years back the decision was not there, so people might have more kids, more than 2, so there has to be cutoff date, and gradually over the time we should try and create awareness on this. Now next, coming to education criteria. So here again, as we said, we talk of the Panchayati Raj institutions, all 3 levels, finances are involved, we have the signing authority, and if we are not educated, how we would do that? So I am not saying we should be proposing, or the group didn't agree to this, any professional qualification, but definitely some criteria, some basic need to be fixed up. And that can be decided on a lot of researches or the state-wise analysis we can do, and then we can reach at a point what criteria need to be there, but definitely it should be there. And then coming on to toilet facility. Like in some states, there is, if they do not have this facility, they are not eligible to contest. So I would say one thing, this is a very good initiative if we do that. Reason being, all over India we are following the like Swachh Bharat mission, trying to create that sanitation and awareness among people. So to how do we implement on a larger scale? So if we initiate with these and that too with Panchayati Raj, so I think what best can be contributing towards the Swachh Bharat mission and bringing like people on the same platform to agree with this. And then coming on to bigamy and polygamy. This again should be a point in terms of eligibility of contesting for any election. Reason being, this is in a way giving message to the society. This is in a way respecting women's right. So this, if this is mandate there or some kind of clause is there, so people would think before going or involving themselves in any of these. And this way, I think even the female sections of the society would agree to it, and it is about protecting their rights as well. So now, what are the drawbacks and the benefits of imposing special criteria? So if we follow any of these additional criteria or any other suggestions, if they come from on a larger scale, then definitely it is for improving or it is for the well-being of the society. Now again, if we talk on the direct and the indirect elections, since morning I've been talking on this. So it is like in some states, Gram Sabha elections, like what we call as Sarpanch or the Pradhan, they are direct elections. In some states it is indirect, but mostly for the district and the block, they are indirect elections. So what are my point and a group suggestions or recommendations here is, if it is indirect election, it involves or it is misuse of power and finances. Because what we had seen is, or what, since I am representing or I am heading the Jila Panchayat, so I had seen it myself, when you are elected as a member from the direct public voting, and then for the selection of your chair position, there is the elected member voting you. So it becomes a big, like it is a huge expense. No matter even people who are unopposed, they also in a way spend a lot of money, lot of finances involved in it, and lot of corruption and whatever you could, the misuse and the way the ethical conduct is, we do not see anywhere. Because the people and the elected members who are there, they are representing the particular section or people. But in the real, or if you see it at the grassroots level, it is their personal interest they are serving, or they are demanding the finances for. Whatever they demand or they have requirements, they do not serve public directly with that. They are more concerned with their individual interest. So in the overall functioning and the well functioning, what we want is it should be a public election, direct election, where we should know whether the public has selected us or it has not. And at least we can minimize these funds, the unnecessary expenses, and which in a way can be utilized for the betterment and for the, serving the society and the community and the people. So again, if we talk on the drawbacks of indirect elections, so it is same. If we do not go with the direct elections, we will face this again and again, every state, I'm sure. And even no confidence is again a problem. Since like MLAs and MPs, we are also working, we are serving, or we are responsible for the entire district. And if it is like we do not get sufficient time, 1 year tenure, like in our state, if I talk about Uttar Pradesh, earlier we had, after 1 year, the no confidence motion can be brought. So it was very difficult for lost out districts because people started doing it and troubling the chairperson about this. Members start to bargain and they try to negotiate, and there are a lot of issues. So that we tried, and after a lot of efforts, we could make it to 2/3 majority and 2 years. So how it is helping? Because half majority, 50%, and 2/3 is a lot of difference. And it is then difficult when it is 2/3. And when it is 2 years, a person get times. So had it been, it was a direct election, and if we get a time to serve ourselves or to show our skills or caliber or doing or working for the district, that 5 years are sufficient good time to do that. 1 year, 1.5 or 2 years is not. Thank you so much. I think it's good. So again, if we talk of the impact of representing decision making and good effectiveness to enhance efficiency and productivity. If we are sitting with cool head, cool mind, and we have like this right tenure to work, I think we can show more and better things and new initiatives and better for our people. Okay. So again, when we say ki should there be a provision in the Gram Sabha for like the president, like how do we for recalling to ensure accountability? So like our group is not supporting to anything like no confidence or recalling or anything. So what suggestions we have is there is in the Constitution of India there is a provision of delimiting the power and authority. So this way we can even monitor the functioning of the Gram Sabha and the Gram Pradhans. The checks can be there, strict monitoring can be there so that if any misuse or anything unethical is happening, so there is option for delimiting the power and authority. So how the system would work effectively is again because when we have strict monitoring in place, so it will give you better governance. People will have fear of doing anything. They know it ki somebody is watching them. There's a check there. So now coming on to the next is subgroup, which is
5 minutes are left.
5 minutes. Okay, I'll take it quick. When we talk of the effectiveness of the State Election Commission in conducting the PRI elections, so here a group, as a group we have supported the state elections should be doing the elections and in line with the State Election Commission of India. The pattern should be same and how to give them, they should work as an independent body, as an autonomous, the funding rights, they should be having their own funds to doing that. And even in terms of adopting, selecting the commissioner for the state election commission is state government, there should be a committee which is appointed by the state government. And we have also proposed that to have opposition leader as one of its member so that people have more trust in this is more transparent. So, and we are proposing for SEC. Then again, why do we want to adopt this in line with the Election Commission of India to bring it uniformity like in the state and the central. And even as what the preparation of electoral rolls. This is again very important. I think some presentations which had happened before us, they had talked in detail about the online information system, how it is being, data is being maintained. So again, we had also as a group, we had suggested we should have online portal which is maintaining the entire information related to the people and the elections or electoral. So all the, and these portals should be linked, like Aadhaar should be linked to the voting. I think more or less some states have already done this. So this we should have Pan India, where the Aadhaars are linked with the your voter ID, and then so that we can stop the duplicacy of voters and things. So this can be checked. And how we can make it more effective, like in terms of discussing with people and reaching out to the grassroots level, is this states do have a system of Matdata Chaupal, which is like reaching to the grassroots level. A lot of issues are actually handled here and that can be sorted. So to make, again, I've already said that to make the state election commissions more stronger is that they should be treated as the independent body without the political interference, and the selections and the working should be completely, it should not be influenced by any of the political parties of the state. And even the removal of the head chairperson of the state election commission should be taken up in Vidhan Sabha. This is what the group's suggestion is, and that too through a proposal. And if we talk of a state, we had a member coming from Arunachal Pradesh. They had a concern in their state election commission, it is single member. So what the group has suggested, at least there should be multi-members so that one single person is not deciding or taking decisions on anything. Okay. So when we say role of money, can somebody come here to help me? Okay. So again for this role of money, see, as we said, if it is direct election, indirect, lot of money issues are involved, finances are involved, but strict monitoring from the state election commission should be there, and also they should have an option of disqualifying the candidature. So if all these measures are in place, then we can make the system more effective. And what strategies to be employed to curb the undue influence of the electoral? Again, even the campaigns which is done in the elections should be strictly monitored, and some budgets to be decided for even the PRI elections. And even like people, like today is the era of social media, people are doing it from social media as well. So all that, be it with gathering during the elections or the other platforms which are used, we do some mechanism of strict monitoring, all this can be minimized. And same, if we talk of encouraging candidates to focus on their qualification, ideas and community service rather than relying on finances, first of all, awareness is required among public. Because people need to know that we cannot go and impose something or force until unless they themselves are responsible. As an individual citizen of the country, I should know it, that my vote is important. Whom do I have to vote? And what basis should be, instead of getting influenced by people or if just money is attracting you, we should be in a position to decide for ourselves whom we want to choose. So such platforms should be there, used by the government, by the institutions who are working during these elections, so that we can create more awareness among people and they are more responsible in terms of taking the decisions. Now, database for elected representatives. So it is like we should have a single portal for all informations, and that this is also being said in the previous presentations. One single point should be there, so that, and it is being updated on a regular basis. Reason being, the data is not outdated. It is not, because same data is used on different platforms. If it is not getting updated, a wrong information entered, and if it is not rechecked or reworked, so this can go on to some other things, and there are a lot of schemes, government schemes involved and based on these data. And we should have a single mechanism. So no duplicacy, no problem. People should also be made very easy and familiar with the systems. How do they have to enter? So regularly updating this, and again, this all would help us to be more transparent and good governance. Next. I think the last. Okay. The campaigning system of the Panchayat system. So it is like, how do we like reform, focus on open debates. Our group had agreed on this, and as we see it in other countries, presidential elections, there are open debates, people talk about it. So I think this is more like effective rather than spending a lot of money in rest of the campaigns. If we are allowed to be in public and we decide what is my strategy for being like taking up in the next 5 years, how do I want to work for the society and the people, what changes I want to bring in, and we should be directly interacting with public, keeping it directly in front of them, so that they should be deciding there and then whom they want to go with. So such campaigns should be promoted. And this would say, like when I'm saying people should be directly interacting, like suppose if I'm standing here and I'm interacting with everyone, so what I have spoken, I'm more accountable for that. I cannot be on the back foot. See, I did not say this. Maybe in a written form, or maybe if you've done any political campaigns, you might say, oh, this was just said it. Or people, at times you've seen political leaders coming, like they're coming at the back foot or whatever they have said or written on the paper. They say, oh, it's just the media who's written that. But when we are directly interacting, it is being recorded, it is on your social media account, it is as a video and things you're talking. So we are more accountable for what we are saying. And we will think twice or thrice before saying anything or proposing anything as plan or anything. Okay. So that coming on the technology, today is the era of technology. So social media platforms should be used for public monitoring. Like anything that we said, if it is like through the media channels also, if we get a chance to interact with the public or open debates are there, so it is openly, there's nothing secret about it, there's nothing which people are not aware, people can see, they can hear, they can know what exactly we want to say. And this would be like today is era, so even in the villages, if you see, people do have Facebook accounts, Insta, and people handle Twitters. So any information which is passed on one social media passes on to the others. So this way you're trying to reach and even the grassroots level. So we should be promoting more of this. So thank you so much. So this is a group suggestions
Thank
and
you, madam.
recommendations.
Our
So-
first group, but given last chance without any grace period.
There was some grace period, I think. So I think I have questions, 2 questions from here only. Both, right.
See, your group, have you studied about the common electoral roll? Because the ECI has a separate electoral roll, and the State Election Commission, they have a separate electoral roll. Some states, they do rely on the ECI, some states they don't. That's question number one. Have you studied, have you suggested common electoral roll in your group? That's one. Second is the nation, these days, we're talking about one nation, one elections, right? So both the elections of the parliament, assembly, as well as the local.
So the first thing is, as we are talking of the two electoral rolls which is utilized on the portal, so that is what we also aware on this, and this is what we discuss in the group also. Like even in Panchayat elections, the electoral system which is being followed is different to what is being followed in the state assemblies and all. But to bring uniformity is what is our recommendation and suggestions here. We should try and have it on the same portal, same type of information, so that there is no duplicacy, because what we had seen in Panchayat elections, or some voters are there, and in coming on to the assembly elections, the list is different. The names are missing. So why is it happening when everything's being tracked on the grassroots level? But it happens. A lot of votes are being removed. So it creates a chaos, because when it is a Gram Sabha election, at times the person who's contesting for Gram Sabha, I'm sure most of it will agree, they take personal interest in terms of seeing the list. But when you increase, like when you go to the legislative elections or the parliamentary elections, that time the area is quite big. You cannot go and check in every house whether the vote is there or not vote is there. But when the time has gone and people are about to contest or go for voting and all, they complain they do not have their name in the list. It becomes a big problem. So to bring that uniformity, the group has suggested we should have common system.
I think, sir, in almost all the states we have got only common list of voters, no? Electoral. It's not, huh? In our states of Telangana and AP, you have got only one list.
It is some state is booth wise, some state is ward wise. See, my question is, ECI, it has a separate electoral roll, and State Election Commission has a separate electoral roll, right? In only few states, the State Election Commission, they rely on the ECI electoral roll and update that. In many of the states, and I can give the list if you want, but in many other states, the State Election Commission collect the data on its own without relying on ECI electoral rolls. So the duplicacy of, and the same voters, right? This is one. My second question was, are we working toward the one nation, one elections? Simultaneous.
To this we would say, since group in group we didn't discuss, reason being this is a more debatable topic, and a lot of things is already going on. Even we want to do a lot of research and we want to discuss it, because the group that we had, or the people we are coming from different selective states that we had, I think we would need more people, more participants to debate on that, and then to reach out at a conclusion to whether we are supporting that or we are not supporting that.
अगर सर मैं तो कह रहा हूँ देश में
Thank you
अगर
so much.
इलेक्शन के लिए मैं तो एक बात करना चाहूंगा सर, पंचायत, देन फिर वार्ड पंच, सरपंच, पंचायत समिति सदस्य, जिला परिषद सदस्य, एमएलए एंड एमपी, 6 इलेक्शन होते हैं इस देश में और पूरे देश भर चलते रहते हैं। अगर एक ही साथ कर दिया जाए 1 जनवरी से 30 जून तक 6 पेटियां रख दिया जाए पूरे कंट्री के सामने, और वो वार्ड पंच ही सारे के सारे वोट ले आएगा, खर्चा भी बचेगा और पूरा 1 जनवरी से 30 जून तक इलेक्शन माहौल, और फिर 4.5 साल फुल काम करने हैं।
Have you also deliberated upon EVM?
It is like in our, if you talk of Uttar Pradesh specifically, so we didn't had EVM in the Panchayati Raj elections, but even if it is there, I'm sure we should be okay with it, but we still have to discuss, because we didn't discuss this point in the group.
Panchayat elections, sir, because of different votes, they are non-party basis. So they have got their own independent district. So, such is the case, even so don't work.
मैं एक आउट ऑफ बॉक्स बात करने जा रहा हूँ, लेकिन इलेक्शन को लेकर के बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि जो लोग भी गांव से हैं, गांव से रिश्ता है, ये सारे इलेक्शन गांव को तोड़ते हैं, बुरी तरह से रिलेशनशिप खराब होती है। पंचायत चुनाव सबसे ज़्यादा खराब करता है, और अगर किसी गांव वाले से बात करिए इस बारे में, सबसे ज़्यादा दुख उसको जब पंचायत इलेक्शन आता है उससे है। मैं सिर्फ 3 लोगों का रेफरेंस दूंगा और इस सदन से निवेदन करूंगा, क्योंकि ये बहुत ही, जिसके कहिए कि देश राष्ट्रीय स्तर का मंच है, और उन गांव वालों की इस आवाज को वो कैसे लेगा और कैसे आगे बढ़ाएगा। वास्तव में मैं गांधी जी की बात एक क्षण में, जेपी की और प्रेजेंट प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी की, तीनों को जोड़ करके कह रहा हूं। गांधी जी का जो इलेक्शन उन्होंने सोचा था, और एक जो उन्होंने वैकल्पिक गांधीवादी संविधान भी बनाया था संविधान सभा से पहले, उसमें उन्होंने पूरी चुनाव प्रक्रिया तय की थी और सहमति के आधार पर चुनाव की बात की थी। गांव के स्तर पर ही चुनाव होना था, ऊपर चुनाव नहीं होना था। ठीक है। जयप्रकाश नारायण ने बहुत साफ कहा था कि अगर पंचायतों के चुनाव एमएलए एमपी के चुनाव जैसे हुए तो भारत के गांव समाज को नष्ट होने से कोई बचा नहीं सकेगा। ये जयप्रकाश नारायण ने इसे बहुत स्पष्टता से कहा था। नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने जब चीफ मिनिस्टर थे तो गुजरात में प्रयोग किया समरस गांव पंचायत का, आप सबको के नॉलेज में होगा। 8014 समरस गांव पंचायतें गुजरात में उनके समय में बनी थी। समरस गांव पंचायत, जहां पंचायत का चुनाव निर्विरोध हो जाएगा, सारे चुनाव पंच के भी और सरपंच के भी, उनको वो विशेष स्टेट गवर्नमेंट प्रोत्साहित करती थी। और समरस गांव पंचायत था 8014, बल्कि उसी को आगे ले जाकर उन्होंने एक दूसरा भी फैक्टर जोड़ा था, उसको कहा था तीर्थ गांव, पावन गांव और तीर्थ गांव। पावन गांव उसको कहते थे जहां 3 साल तक गांव के झगड़े गांव में निपट जाएंगे, क्योंकि दो चीजें ही हैं, इलेक्शन और गांव के झगड़े। इनके कारण न ग्राम सभा हो सकती है ठीक से, गांव में भाईचारा ही नहीं होगा तो गांव सभा कहां से होगी, कोई पंचायती राज सही तरीके से नहीं चल सकता। उन्होंने ये किया था कि 3 साल अगर चला, बिना झगड़े के 3 साल होगा तो वो पावन गांव होगा। अगर 5 साल बिना झगड़े के गांव का झगड़ा गांव में निपट गया तो पवित्र गांव। गांधी और जेपी की राय थी, प्रेजेंट प्रधानमंत्री ने उसका प्रयोग भी किया था। क्या फिर से इस बारे में भारत सरकार सोच सकती है क्या, और उस तरीके से इस चीज को आगे ले जा सकती है क्या? गांव में जिस तरह का विवाद खड़ा हो रहा है चुनाव को लेकर, उससे गांव को राहत मिल सकती है क्या? बस ये सवाल सब पूरे सदन के साथ है। धन्यवाद।
I feel a lot of changes is required if we bring those changes in our election system, in the processes. So I'm sure we can, at least Panchayati Raj institutions can be the start of things, new things and all. We should not be waiting for legislature or the assembly or parliamentary elections or the systems, institutions to start off with. We can make a start of it. Like especially by bringing in the qualification thing, bringing the two child policy, all these initiatives, if we start off, I'm sure it will be recorded in the history books that Panchayati Raj system did some changes. And we can definitely come back to all these for better functioning and good governance.
Any other questions?
That's it.
I think there's madam there, one lady.
The right of disqualification by election commission. So in Kerala a system exists, that is, if Grama Sabha meeting is not convened 2 times consecutively, the elected member will lose his membership, he will be disqualified, and in that way re-election will be conducted. Now incidents were there. One ruling party, a member did not convene the Grama Sabha meeting 2 times and he was disqualified. And later what happened, another opposition party leader member also was disqualified. But both of them approached the government to make change in this. And government put an order. So it is not 2 times, it is 3 times. So their disqualification was made null and void. It's an experience I'm sharing, that's all.
Even in the no confidence motion, sir, in AP and Telangana, previously it was 2 years. Now it has been enhanced to 4 years. So there will be some.
Madam को mic देते हैं?
I would like to flag certain issues we have conducted a study. I mean, this is before joining NARD when I was working in some other organization. We have conducted a study on gender mainstreaming governance in urban local bodies. So the situation, all the women elected representatives of Andhra Pradesh were being interviewed and studied. And we found that the women who are having very bad situation, the encounters which they face from the society, from the politicians, other politicians, from the family, because some of the women, they don't want to become the rubber stamp to their husbands, who doesn't want to do the illegal practices. Some of them, they really suffer. Their voices were not being heard. So what can be done that kind of situation as a politician, because you are coding that you being the Jilla Parishad president or at the district level serving at the thing, kindly what has to be done for such things, which I want to put one point. What happens to the people who are suffering at the grassroots level, the gang rapes, the voice has been not heard. Some of the child abuse, even in the schools. Some of the things, very worst situations are there, like children are not able to express themselves regarding the situation, even some harassment at the family. These kind of things were never heard, never come out. Only when we go close to them and when we talk to them, like case studies, one or two case studies which come out, and documentations will be there. So these kind of situations in the gender aspect, with the gender lens when we see, and even when the women goes into the higher ups, the society looks at her in a different way. She may be going to the, she may be going by breaking all the glass roofing and at the highest level. But what happens to her own situation? How can these kind of things will be there? And one more thing, ma'am, the capacity building part for the elected MLAs, newly elected MLAs and MPs, the orientation in the, even for the elected representatives at the Gram Panchayat level, also need to be given in the right time. Soon after getting into the power, within 6 months before, they need to be oriented on the rules, regulations, capacity need to be built, so that all the things made to be explained in well in advance, so that they can deliver the things in a better manner. This is what my humble submission to everybody who is here. Thank you.
So I'll answer what is relevant to us, and then
It's just a submission to
so
everybody.
I'll give you one suggestion. In our state, like if you talk, in Uttar Pradesh, there is one-stop center which is there. The way you said that child abuse or any other female, any violence, anything which is being faced by females on a domestic level or whatever it is. So one-stop centers are being set up. So there, any female who is suffering with this can come over. She's given that medical facility. There are female assistants who are there who are helping her out. And whatever aid, whether she wants an advocate for any case or something, that help is provided, medical help is provided, or any other support she needs. And we beat the police system. So this way the government has set up there. So I'm sure if this is not in other states, this can also be one way of addressing such social issues. And coming on to the next, as you said, women representation. Like I also have members like where males try to come over and represent the female counterpart. So this is completely an awareness thing. I come from a political family. My family, my parents have always supported. First priority was that please complete your education before you take up anything, be the political system or to any profession you go to. So a lot of people took it as very surprising. Oh, you come from a political family and you're educated. So this was one question mark when we have also faced. But since if we are more aware on this, what is the importance of education? It is not about the political system where people feel it. If it is politician, he doesn't need to have those professional qualifications and things. It's not. We still see in the systems, there are a lot of qualified people, and that's the reason government's been working and the think tank and things happening in. So the importance is there. We need to create more awareness on this. Today, 20 years, 30 years back, schools were not there. Scarcity was there. But today, every village had schools, primary schools, or the higher educations and the professionals, they are there. So awareness need to be created from the government end, from the individual end, from the public represented end. So this, if we try and do, we will definitely, and we should have strict things. Any representation, male should not, counterpart should not be there. If it is a meeting happening where a person is, whoever is chairing, male, female should be present. So it should be mandated, it should be followed, and such strictness would be there. People would do that.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think we can.
One small observation. Actually, I am coming from a state, Tamil Nadu. With regard to the election, the delimitation has to be done only by the government, not by the election commission. By citing this reason, many times elections have been postponed. And where we started arguing that, when we go to the court, they only, actually filed a case against the government, not against the election commission, because that part has to be done. So in that context, the strengthening of the election commission is more important, state election commission is more important than giving power to the government with regard to the conduct of election, number one. Then number two, Alok has raised, conduct election in one go, one election, this. But whereas in local body election, sometimes, they conduct election for rural local bodies. Even in rural local bodies, for Gram Panchayat election, Block Panchayat election, District Panchayat election later. So that disturbs the whole of the functioning there. In one go, the election has to be conducted by strengthening the state election commission. That is number one. Number two, slightly, because there was a discussion in Tamil Nadu for some time for getting two-term reservation for the women. It was not somebody has given, it is demanded by the women collectives, the women leaders collective. Over a period of time, they mobilized the people and appealed to the chief minister, but happened to be the women chief minister there in Tamil Nadu. She granted. The whole of women collectives in India appreciated. But just like that, you said that, no, this is very, regressive, it is progressive. That is progressive, two-term. Because when it is being represented to the chief minister of Tamil Nadu, Jayalalitha, she asked a question, what is the guarantee that you would be elected? A poor lady said, no, I am not coming. Another woman will come because I learnt a lot in this first period. In the second period, my colleague will continue it. In such a way, it has been. So that is another issue. Criteria, qualification fixed for, electing, representative, two-child norm, toilet and other things. Heartbreaking. In this country, this panchayat is only for the poor. When you are putting that condition, no poor can contest in this election. In such a way, it goes. So, lot of debate is necessary. Discourse is necessary. Not only few, can decide this is a recommendation. Not. In my opinion, these are all not progressive from my perspective. From coming from a state of Tamil Nadu, where the reservation, all those things have been part of the movement. So, in that context, you think a little, deeper into this issue, and you go.
So thank you so much for this, but still I would answer. When we said this is recommendation, this was recommendations from the group that we had, like different states, whichever states were there. Now coming on to the first one, as the last I'll answer first, where you said two-child policy or this is we're talking of the poor people and things. How do we expect the society to improve? Do we want to stay in the same state as we were some 50 years back or something? People didn't have toilets, females were going in the fields or something. Do we expect that? Or do we expect the education system should not improve? Or what way should, we are not forcing it. We are trying to create and suggesting we should have steps towards this, awareness towards this, and create, how should a female know that education is important to us? How do we make her self-realize that? So that it will change from grassroots. How do we improve their standard of living? When we are saying this, village people are there, skilled ladies. I had suggested, like in one of our forum, I said, since female, we do not expect them to go to city and learn something. And we know they're very skilled people. Like anything that we go to metros and things, we buy and go to the exhibitions and look for these local products. And those ladies are good at creating and doing that. So how would we, if we do not give them platforms? So for that I suggested we should have, like we have institutions or like Gram Panchayat, some buildings are there which is not utilized, that can be converted into centers where these ladies who are there in the villages, they can be given those skills and the skills can be enhanced, and such certain platform should be there where they can, whatever product they are making, they're good at it. It should be, marketed somewhere else, and they should be given that, this is how we'll improve them. And if we always have that concept, if they are not.
I think we can continue this discussion after this. This is a very.
And one more I wanted to address this. You said being a female, you're not supporting. In our question, if you see, the question was whether the single term or the double term used for SC, backward or general. That time we didn't took up anything related to women panchayats first of all. It was related. Suppose, take for example, whichever field I have come, if I have come or elected here on the general, I might want this should be repeated again, but I didn't thought that way. I did think, suppose if it is a reserve, other will not get 10 years is a good big time. Anybody, how we will give the equal time or opportunities to people to represent themselves? So if it is after every 5 years reservation is improving, so it is a little good time also, sufficient time also, and then the others can get the chance. And after 5 years when the rotation comes back, maybe they get the chance again. So I'm not stopping the female, in fact I always promote that. It's just that we didn't have that option, and for female panchayats, we said our group didn't agree. Reason being, if we are, like suppose in this hall, we are sitting here, it is a mix of both male and females, and I'm sure everybody should agree with this. This is not female representation here, this is not male representation. Will any of the female want here only female sitting here and debating on the topics?
But madam, now we can continue this later. We can put a close to this discussion.
Thank you so much.
We just try to have some value addition. Finally, we just try to have some value addition to the local body ERS. That is the whole main concept behind this. Thank you.